I have a question for you. If you are a professional dealing with food, and I presume that's food intended for human beings, if you are one, then I have a question for you. And the question is this: when is food food? Or what is food? Because if you create a salad from a lettuce and someone has the lettuce in front of them on the plate but doesn't eat the salad, is it still food? Or would the lettuce appear into the bin and become waste? Was it then food all along? Is it still food? Or is it only food when it's being eaten by the human being? What if that lettuce was grown not by a farmer, but was just growing in the field by itself, like a wild lettuce? What if someone would pick that lettuce and would eat it? Then that would be food, right? Even though it wasn't intended to be human food. But if the lettuce remains in the field and probably is eaten by rabbits, then you wouldn't consider this to be human food. What if there is something that you don't even know about which is edible, for example, lichen? What if you walk past the street and see lichen growing on trees? Would that be food? Or is it only food when you eat it? And if that would be the case, if food is actually only food when you are actively eating it, when it goes inside the human body, wouldn't that also change the way you perceive food? Or wouldn't that also change the way you look at your job? Because wouldn't that mean that food is only food when it is in relation to the human being? And wouldn't it make sense then to also look at that human being? To look at the person who's going to eat that food, and not only to look at the food itself. Because you know, what you consider food can become waste. Or it can become face cream if you're preparing yogurt. So when you know that food is only food when it's being eaten by a human being, and when you know that human beings are not just machines that need fuel, that human beings are sentient, vibrant people with minds of their own, with senses all over their bodies, with a rich imagination. Every human being has imagination, and that whenever you are serving food for someone, that you have to deal not just with the food, but also with this human being that is having expectations about the food, who is experiencing the flavor, but also having memories about that food, who is trying to understand whether in a cultural context the food that he or she is eating is appropriate for them or can teach them something, whether the food is actually a conductor between two people for interaction or change. If you understand that human beings are complex and interesting and unique characters that all experience their food in different ways, wouldn't it make sense then, as someone dealing with food, dealing with the material that actually goes inside their body, that becomes part of them, wouldn't it be important to make sure that within the work that you do, that you allow the notion of this eating human being in, and that you understand that creativity and imagination are always part of what human beings are about. And that when you can intertwine these two, food and imagination, that you actually have a really powerful tool in your hands to create experiences that are beyond expectation, that create experiences that are inspiring more than only tasty. Of course, flavor is important. Of course, taste is crucial. But what if you can add something on top of that? Wouldn't that be very nice? I want to ask you, what do you think is food? Or when is food food? And how can you make sure that you honor this relation between the eater and what is eaten? Let me know in the comments.